Con más de 50 libros escritos a fin de ayudar a las personas a vivir mejor y a conservar su salud, el comunicador, escritor, conferencista y médico Deepak Chopra ofrece en su última publicación titulada Supergenes una serie de teorías que cambian la forma de percibir los genes como los dueños absolutos de nuestro destino. En el desarrollo de la obra, Deepak Chopra y el neurogenetista Rudy Tanzi dejan ver cómo nuestra dieta, estilo de vida, nuestros pensamientos e incluso nuestro microbioma influyen para bien o para mal en todos los aspectos de nuestra vida. De esta manera, ambos autores nos ayudan a percibir que si adaptamos nuestro estilo de vida a actividades positivas, podemos maximizar el potencial de trascender las susceptibilidades heredadas por nuestros padres. Además, nos da el poder para convertirnos en los dueños de nuestro destino, en lugar de ser solo víctimas de nuestra herencia genética. Con esta nueva experiencia, Deepak Chopra abre un nuevo camino para difundir la ciencia de la vida, la Ayurveda, un sistema médico tradicional de la India que integra mente, cuerpo y espíritu como un todo. Y así podemos buscar el equilibrio integral en el hombre. Deepak Chopra es escritor, conferencista, comunicador, médico y director fundador del Centro Chopra para el Bienestar y del Instituto Médico Mente-Cuerpo en California, Estados Unidos. Deepak Chopra, quien fue calificado por la revista Time como el profeta de la medicina alternativa, también es autor de más de 40 videos y CDs, que han tenido ventas por más de 20 millones de copias. Hoy, Deepak Chopra es nuestro invitado en La Era de las Definiciones.
Hola, ¿qué tal, amigas y amigos? Muy buenas noches, nuevamente aquí con ustedes. Gracias por aceptarnos en sus hogares y gracias por seguirnos en estos programas que son especialmente hechos para ustedes. Tonight, we have a very special man, somebody that goes around the world delivering messages of hope, of love, of consciousness, of many other good thoughts for our lives and for the lives of our family and friends. Today, then, we have here Señor Deepak Chopra. Deepak, thank you very much for being here with us. It's an honor for this program. It's an honor for myself. It's an honor for Centro Fox. And thank you for being here.
First of all, President Fox, it's my honor, my privilege. It's a great opportunity for me to be here with you and explore human potential.
And the connection between science and spirituality that he does through his institution, Chopra Global. He's written 89 books in 43 different languages. The 90th book is Meta-Human. It's a real, incredible adventure for human minds, for human people, that moves us beyond what we are, what we feel, into infinitive possibilities that we can develop as human beings. This is Deepak Chopra. And Deepak, I've been doing 2 programs up to now related to the coronavirus, to the pandemia. One was with a person that you know quite well, which is Dr. Julio Frank. He's today the president of the University of Miami, and he was my health minister executive, a wonderful person, an incredible human being. And he spoke us about the health aspects, the health view of the pandemic. And then I interview Eduardo Sojo, which is a fantastic economist. He knows what you have to know about economy, about business, about growth, about opportunities, about human development, and else and else. And he spoke us about what is going to be the impact of the pandemic and what is the future that we are expecting to happen for next year and thereafter. But now I think is the cherry of the pie with you, Deepak, to speak about the pandemic also as a main issue, but under your optics, which is totally different to anybody else. A lot of philosophy involved, a lot of science, a lot of spirituality, a lot of humanism. And this is what we are going to speak about this next few minutes. So Deepak, again, welcome. And let me shoot the first question. Tell me, what has been the impact in your own self, in your foundations, in your life of this pandemic? What is what you perceive, what is what you felt when we all learned about this?
President Fox, actually very little changed for me other than I was surprised that the world, including all political leaders and scientists and philosophers, take their existence for granted. I never took my existence for granted. I have, since the age of 6 years, been puzzled by the fact that we exist. Why do we exist? What is existence and what is awareness of existence? Because the two go together. Unless you are aware of existence, there's no existence. So what is awareness of existence? And is existence only human or is it life? If you ask yourself this question, is existence only human or is it life? Then actually the pandemic is a gift. It is repairing life right now. The ecosystem is repairing itself. The birds are singing. People can breathe in Bangalore. The Himalayas can be seen from 500 miles away. Fish are returning to their dead lakes. Even in Venice, the canals are seeing fish. Stars can be seen at night. Nature is celebrating. Nature is celebrating. So what I think, my perspective is that the genetic information of the universe, the genetic information of the planet was stressed. You have a microbiome in your body, which is all the genetic information of the planet. Only 25,000 genes that you have come from your parents. There are 2 million genes in your body that come from bacteria, from viruses, from fungi. And they make life possible. Coronavirus has been around for 50 million years. 50 million years. Okay, even the current influenza virus has been around for 50,000 years. Humans have been around only for 200,000 years. So, you know, viruses, bacteria, fungi are the genetic information of the planet which make this planet's life possible. When one species takes over all the other species and destroys the ecosystem, then the genetic information, which is all entangled, human genetic information is entangled with microbial, plant, and animal genetic information. When that is stressed, mutations occur. And the mutation can be dangerous because the mutation is, in my view, just resetting the health of the biosphere. The biosphere inside your body and the biosphere, which we call the planet, is the same biosphere. The air is your breath. The trees are your lungs. The earth is recycling as your body. The oceans are your circulation. And the stars give you the atoms in your body. So you have a personal body and you have a universal body. They're both yours. You can't live without one, can't live without the other. If I take a rabbit and I put it in a vacuum, it dies. If I put a plant in a vacuum, it dies. But if I put the plant in the vacuum and lots of bacteria, they all live. Okay, so this is a reset for humanity, which is saying existence is more than human existence. And if you don't pay attention, then human existence will be wiped out. This is a warning call, a wake-up call before what we call extinction. Because when a species becomes permanently victorious, the human species has become permanently victorious, it destroys itself. It is destroying itself right now with unsustainability, climate change, war, terrorism, extinction of species, mass migrations, epidemics, mechanized death, nuclear weapons, biological warfare, interference of democracy through internet hacking. We are on a collective suicide mission right now. And the virus is saying, humans, if you want to commit suicide, go ahead. But here's a signal I'm giving you. When you come out of your cages, because now we are in our cages, when you come out, back out of your cages, please treat us with a little more respect, a little more humility, and less hubris.
What a different point of view. I mean, I'm impressed listening to you, and but we have to bring it down to earthly human beings to see what is happening, what is the way we should behave and confront this problem, what is the future, because many, many millions, billions are afraid of uncertainty, are afraid of what's going to happen. You bring a point of view that is absolutely different to anybody that I have heard about. It seems to be a positive, optimistic, kind of situation. But let me go back to why this virus chose China, why this virus chose somebody in China, and what the rest of us can expect out of it.
We don't know why the virus originated in China, except that the Wuhan lab was connected to research on coronavirus, and the researchers from all over the world, including WHO researchers and the researchers from the United States. Whether the virus originated in the lab or in the meat markets, in the wet markets, whether it was originated in a bat or whether it originated in a pangolin, all that is irrelevant. The virus is a mutation that is reflecting a stressed ecosystem of genetic information in the planet. The genetic information in the planet is in you, it's in plants, it's in bacteria, it's in the earth. The earth is totally poisoned now with inflammatory products, inflammation in our food, inflammation in our planes, inflammation in our transport systems, inflammation in our behavior, inflammation in our mind, inflammation in our brain, inflammation in our body, inflammation in our behavior. So the world is on fire. And inflammation is the biggest cause of sickness. So anybody who is chronically sick right now, chronically sick, elderly who are chronically sick, if you examine their body, they have increased inflammation, chronic inflammation, they have chronic disease. And those who are getting sick, on top of that, they have what is called inflammatory storm, cytokine storm, that makes them so sick that they get on a respirator and they die. So the number one thing we need to treat right now is inflammation. Inflammation in the mind, inflammation in the brain, inflammation in the body, inflammation in our behavior, inflammation in our industry. What this pandemic is showing us, by the way, is an oil-free economy is possible. We are seeing that already. You know that there are people now who are creating new technologies, and I can guarantee you, in 10 years, airplanes and ships and transportation will not depend on fossil fuels. So we are seeing that an oil-free economy is possible. We are also seeing, by the way, that climate change is reversible. We are also seeing that in the last 100 years, whenever there's been a catastrophe, like in the 1918 epidemic or the First World War, we had the emergence of new technologies, like AM radio came out of the First World War, TV came out of the Second World War. The internet came out of the recession in 1988. Smartphones happened in 2000. Now we have this technology. We are speaking to each other and the rest of the world. Mark my words, by the time this pandemic is over, we'll have new technologies, we'll have new insights into how we can create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world if we wake up. But we are not waking up. We are still repeating the same things. You know, what's going to happen to the stock market? What's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to so-and-so? We should be actually asking ourselves, what's going to happen to existence? What's going to happen to life? And if we don't ask ourselves the same question, then we are headed for extinction. But if we ask ourselves that question, then we have a new story for humanity. And that story is being created right now as you and I speak.
Wow. Thanks, Deepak. We have to go to a commercial and we'll come right back. Great what we're listening from you. Extraordinary. Estamos de regreso con ustedes, amigas y amigos, en esta extraordinaria charla con este increíble ser humano, Deepak Chopra. Vamos a continuar explorando, aunque a mí mismo me es difícil qué preguntas hacer con una mente tan profunda, tan diferente en su manera de pensar. So, for me, it's extremely difficult, Deepak, to follow you, to keep up with you, even to make the questions I should be making to you. But what I understand is that you're giving us an advice that at the very end, the handling, the management of this pandemia, it's within us, it's in our capacity to not only survive from it, keep on going, but changing the future. Is the future going to be changed in a very significant manner for what you're telling us? Would you tell me for us, for people, regular people everywhere in the world, what is the way we should behave? What is what we should do? And what is what we should think for us and our families to the future?
So on a personal level, you can decrease your chances of getting sick by following six principles. You can decrease your likelihood of getting sick by following 6 principles, decreasing inflammation in the body. Number 1, good sleep. Number 2, meditation and stress management. Number 3, movement, mind-body coordination, but also healthy emotions like love, compassion, joy, equanimity, empathy. Number 5, mind-body coordination through mind-body techniques, whether it's yoga or tai chi, qigong, martial arts, whatever. Number 6, some connection with nature and resilience, emotional resilience, support for each other through attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. This is common sense. It will decrease inflammation in your body. It will decrease your chances for illness. That's the first thing we need to do, to decrease inflammation everywhere, including in our diet, because our food is poison. The more natural food you have directly coming from farm to table, you will repair the genetic damage in your microbiome, which is the basic cause of mutations. So those are very common sense things. The next thing is to recognize that we have a history of 500 years of colonial injustice. I have to say this, okay? And that memory of trauma is in our bodies. This, you know, this movement, Black Lives Matter, this is a reaction to slavery, to servitude that occurred for 500 years. We have to accept the history of the past. We have to accept the situation right now. And then we have to ask ourselves, what's the future story? And I believe, Mr. President, the future story is not going to be created by politicians or leaders. Unfortunately, they are only interested in power mongering, influence peddling, cronyism, corruption, and just being in power. So there has to be a grassroots movement in the world. And that grassroots movement has to ask with the very basic questions. Who are we? What do we want? What's our collective purpose? What's our collective imagination? And how do we actualize what we all want? What do we all want? We want social justice, economic justice, absence of racism. We want health. We want a sustainable planet. We want health, and we want happiness. If we can identify what we want, that's the first step. Then the second step is, what is the creative way to actualize that? And the creative way is there. Today we know the mechanics of creativity. We know the mechanics of emergence. So when you have a large group of people with diverse talents, diverse backgrounds, humanitarians, healthcare workers, scientists, technologists, poets, entertainers, songwriters, storytellers, then you can harness the collective creativity. This is the science of emergence. Maximum diversity, shared vision, emotional and spiritual connection, technology, open system, feedback, and transparency, and a global movement which is both online and offline. We now have access to the human brain planetary. You know, your brain is part of the planetary brain, and the planetary brain you can look at just by going on the internet. You want to know the condition of the planetary brain? Just type out google.com and then look at what is happening on Twitter, or look at what's happening on Facebook, and you have a direct access to the planetary brain, diabolical and divine, sacred and profane. It's all there. So now how do we rewire the planetary brain? I think just through three things. One is service. We all want to be part of that service if we are visionary leaders. Second is community of these diverse groups online. And third is spiritual awareness of existence, not just human existence, all existence. Once we start asking these questions, the collective creativity will lead to emergence, and we can create technology for that through the technology we already have. We have VR, we have augmented dreamscapes, we have creative technologies, we even have artificial intelligence, we have feedback loops, we have deep learning systems, we can send people to the moon, we can land people on Mars. Why can't we solve these differences that are creating havoc in the ecosystem? We can do it. We have to have the collective will, the collective desire, and the collective creativity, and the collective technology, which we have now. So every time I've looked at a crisis, something good has come out of it. You know, whether it's technology, whether it's a new way of communicating, a new understanding of nature, and all our principles of, you know, Darwinian evolution are falling apart. It is not survival of the fittest. It is survival of the wisest. Wisdom will become the new criterion for evolution on this planet.
Wow. How listening to all of this, how do we citizens or people evolve into higher level of thinking, of controlling our minds, of understanding what's going on? Because people, I just see that is frightened, and it's in hands of the leader, whoever it is. It can be a populist, it can be a pretty good government, it can be a man, it can be a woman, which are telling us how to do, how to behave, what things we must comply with. We're being directed as robots because we're afraid. We don't know what to do with this. The intense communication that we get every day, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning and ending up 5 o'clock next day. It's where are we human beings? Where do we defend ourselves? Where do we intervene? Where do we take decisions? Is this taking us to authoritarian leadership, to imposing behaviors from governments and from leaders to us, the people?
Yes, it's going from leaders to distributed leadership, what is called the starfish model of leadership. The old model is the spider model. So you're the spider, if you hit the head, the whole spider dies. The biological organism goes away. Starfish has 6 limbs. If you cut one, it grows 2. If you cut all 6, it grows 36. So starfish is distributed leadership, and the time has come for distributed leadership in the world with the next generation. And we also know what it takes to be a great leader, what it takes to be a good listener, what it takes to be emotionally bonded, what it takes to increase our awareness, what it takes to create smart action plans, what it takes to be responsible, what it takes to have a vision, what it takes to create a team where everybody complements their strengths with maximum diversity, like a sports team. So if you follow the models of a sports team, that's a good leadership model, because every player in a soccer team is unique and they're all helping each other. The team that wins is not the one that has a better captain. The team that wins is where there is this collective enhancement of capacity and talent and diversity. So maximum diversity, maximum creativity is the only solution, but also technology. Today we have technology to create algorithms to see what works and what doesn't work. So even as we look at the new world, it will involve a new way of thinking, even about currencies, Wall Street, and all these ways of thinking about corporate well-being are going out the window. You will have cryptocurrencies, you will have localized governance, you will have global communities, you will have connection, if we are wise. If we are not, then we can go to the bar and get a drink.
Deepak, whether we like it or not, a few people have told us the path, where to go. I'm talking about the big CEOs of global corporations. I'm talking about those brilliant minds that came out with globalization, that came out with technology, the Bill Gates, this and that. I see them quiet and like their time has passed. And now who is going to conduct the world? Because if we see some of our governments, they're totally blind of what the pandemic is all about. They're totally unknowledgeable of what to do, what to recommend to people. They just move and give instructions and move. Who is going to be moving this world from here on? Because
so, Mr. President, on a small scale, our foundation has launched something globally. It's called neveralone.love, never alone. And this is a global effort to say that we are here for each other, that we are never alone. When we look at human needs, it starts with safety, survival, love, belongingness, jobs, success, what you call creativity, creative expression, insight, higher consciousness, transcendence, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we know that you have to reach people where they are. If somebody is feeling unsafe and insecure, that's the first thing. Somebody is feeling lack of love, that's the second thing. Somebody is feeling that they need jobs, we can help. There are resources. So right now there is the ability to ask for help and also give help, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, it does not matter. We need a global movement to improve mental hygiene, because right now it is the lack of mental hygiene that has created the lack of physical well-being. Mental hygiene is missing. We create a movement for mental hygiene where we support each other at every level in the hierarchy of needs. So start with survival, safety, love, belongingness, jobs and job satisfaction, relevance in your career, and then go on up the level. Creative expression, insight, imagination, vision, all this is part of the hierarchy of human needs. And we have experts in every area in the world. except in the governments of the world. So let the governments go and do what they want, they're going to be irrelevant. You know, despite Mr. Trump's and many people's right-wing ideas of isolationism, of trade wars, and all the nonsense that's going on in the world, it's not going to survive. You know, a little piece of genetic information somewhere in China has devastated the entire human civilized structure.
Excellent. Deepak, give me a break. We're going to some commercials and we'll be coming right back. Amigos, vamos a un corte y enseguida regresamos con ustedes. Maravilloso. Deepak, so what you're saying is things have changed dramatically with the pandemic, but real things, values, compassion, love, attitude has not changed. We still are under the same values and principles that we have always been in. We just have to navigate through this problem, and we will keep meeting problems, and we will keep keeping our vision to where we want to go, and that is light. Where is the light now? How can we search for that light, and how can we make it our own light? Or the light comes within ourselves.
So, Mr. President, you pointed out something very important. We have Bronze Age mythological structures, Bronze Age tribal identities, Bronze Age, honestly, Bronze Age mythologies which serve as our religions, and we are living in a post-nuclear world. So we have modern capacities for immense destruction and a mind that is frozen as a hunter-gatherer. Okay, so this is the catch-up right now. You know, we have modern capacities that can destroy the world, but can also heal the world. We have the technology, we have the capacity. We have the capacity for reversing climate change, creating new economies, creating global partnerships, creating new methodologies for trade, new jobs distributed globally. You could have a job in Mexico City and live in Bangladesh. As you know already, you have in your location people from India working 1,000 technologists. You have people all distributed talent right now. This is a glimpse of what can happen in the future. This is just a little glimpse of what can happen in the future. So we have to now have the will, the desire, because we have the creativity. We have the deep learning systems. We have to enhance our identity. Are we still tribal, primitive, Bronze Age humans, or are we conscious beings with self-awareness? Once we ask ourselves, are we conscious beings with self-awareness? Then we also ask ourselves, what do we want as a humanity? We want a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. What does it take to create peace? Well, there are 25 principles of conflict resolution. If you follow them, you can solve any conflict, anywhere. I can share them with you. What do we want for prosperity? We want to make our enemies our partners. Simple. You take your adversary and make them your economic partner. And you say, what do you want in 10 years from now for you, for your children? You go to Palestine, you go to Israel, you say, what do you want for your children 10 years from now? You're going to recycle the same violence that has existed for 5,000 years, or you want a new world? But if you want a new world, then you have to have a new world view. And that new worldview is not about me. It's about us. It's about life. It's about humanity. And if you don't understand that, then our humanity is incomplete and doesn't deserve to exist.
Deepak, how do you move from micro vision, micro life, personal, individual, into macro conjunction of conducting or moving to the next stage, because what I have always seen is the world is always being conducted by somebody or many somebodies. But
so you do it on a micro level with your family, and then with your community. And the micro level is only three things: service, creative vision together, okay, emotional and spiritual bonding, service, and a practice of inquiry. We don't know the answers, but we can ask the questions. What is the solution to the economic disaster of the world? What is the solution to the health and well-being of the world? What is the solution to conflict in the world? Each of these has to be addressed separately with local people who are involved in the creation of a healthy community. Only three things: seva, service; simran, spiritual practice and reflective self-inquiry; and sangha, community that wants a shared vision. This is all you need locally. You start with that. It used to be the way in the past. You know, in the villages, that's what they want. It used to be the way in the past. Locally, you do that. But then globally, you connect with these same communities through technology. You have exchange programs. You have best practices for economic development, best practices for conflict resolution, best practice for peace, social justice, economic justice. The raw material is there. Do we have the will? We have the creativity. Do we have the will? Do we have the compassion? Do we have the awareness? That is the question. And that requires a collective conversation like the one we are having right now.
Let me say this, Deepak. And I usually mention that half of what you have here in front of you is Mexican and the other half is American. So I say it with all respect. But I see the giant, the leader, the global leader today on its knees and not knowing what to do. And the leader that you have there is not showing the way. Where it will come from? I don't see the Bill Gates, this and that, all this relevant leaders that did great things, and now we don't see them. Where is United States going? Where is it going to be a year from now, 2 years from now? Maybe this pandemic was a bad dream and we forget about it and we come back to our normal life, to our normal values, to our normal principles, which was just a bad time, but now we come back to whatever we done wrong in the past and we don't make a change.
The virus doesn't respect rich or poor, powerful or not powerful. It's just a piece of genetic information and it's ravaging the world right now. And unfortunately, it's also showing the weakness of what we thought was a great powerhouse in the world. The United States has the highest number of infections, highest mortality. I'm surprised that the other countries have not actually created travel restrictions on Americans as risk factors. You know, while America says, oh, Brazil, now we have, travel restriction on Brazilians, the travel restrictions should be on United States right now because the biggest risk to the world right now is America. Also, we have seen the economic collapse, notwithstanding stock market, which reflects emotional melodrama, but we are seeing a recession. We are seeing loss of jobs. We are seeing a president who is basically crippled and beleaguered. But again, Mr. President, we can't blame the president himself alone because the president or the leader reflects the chaos, the confusion, the racism, the bigotry, the hatred of a legacy of the past. The civil rights movement came and Martin Luther King came and Mahatma Gandhi and all these great people, Nelson Mandela, Obama. But it takes time to sow a new seed for a new crop and a new season. The season is now, and we will see the demolition of power structures and a redistribution in the world, a reset of what it means to be a global leader and a global country that has impact on the world. Right now, I think we can only say that we are living in an age where there's nothing to be proud of in being an American at the moment. Nothing. But America represents, in a way, the microcosm of what is also happening in the world. I mean, you look across the world. It's not just what's happening in America. Look at Russia, look at Putin, look at Korea, look at India, look at Pakistan, look at any country in the world, even your country, Mr. President. We have to tackle these big issues of cronyism, corruption, power in meddling, and corruption globally. Because, and that cannot happen by looking to the leaders. We have to be the change we want to see in the world.
So Deepak, one option is that messiahs, Sherpas will come and conduct and fix whatever this pandemic left here, or is the community is like the olive tree in the world. The question is, do we have to move on our own? Do we have to work more on ourselves, more on our community, more on our love, and more? So it's an individual thing that will build up the next phase of the earth, or is it those leaders that right now don't seem to know what to do and where to take us? What is your choice?
Mr. President, if you look at evolutionary biology, you'll find something very interesting. If all the insects and bacteria and fungi and viruses disappeared from our planet, in 5 years, there would be no life on this planet. If human beings disappeared from this planet, in 5 years, life would flourish on this planet. From the point of view of existence, we are the cancer, we are the predator. Okay, from the point of view of existence, not from our side, we are the victorious species. But from the point of the life, we are the cancer. First, we have to recognize that, okay? If we don't recognize that, then we are heading for extinction. But the second thing is we are so creative. We have created the most amazing technologies of the world. We have the creativity to solve these problems, but we can't depend on other people right now. So what you're saying is right. You don't need one Messiah. You need millions of Messiahs, and they're ready. They're ready in different parts of the world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in Latin America, in Europe, in India. I just spoke this morning to people in Pakistan. Everybody's gearing up for a new story for humanity, and everybody's saying we can't depend on anybody else. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. And I have only one mantra right now: love in action. Love without action is meaningless. Action without love is irrelevant. But when you have love and action, you can you can solve any problem.
What you mean by meta-human?
Meta means beyond. Meta means beyond, and human is the conditioned mind, the tribal mind, the constricted mind, the racist mind. So meta is leaving the conditioning and going beyond to a new creative expression so that we can make our humanity complete. Right now, our humanity is not complete.
So, Deepak, you're having a event on 21 days from now on meditation. You're still doing it on La Costa? Where are you doing your wonderful seminars?
The meditations are at the moment online, and we are doing a Spanish one with Jose Baldwin from Colombia. He's a big musician. So we are doing these meditations in multiple languages online. About 10 million people have joined. You can find us on chopracentermeditation.com. We want to reach 1 billion people, and then we'll have a different world.
That's your objective for the 21 days from now?
No, it'll take a little while. But we are already moving very fast. We want to reach 1 billion people.
Well, be the light.
Be the light, yes.
Light of the world, to this, getting us out of this darkness where we are today.
Focus on a joyful, energetic body, a loving, compassionate heart, a clear mind, and a spiritual connection. That's it.
Bravo, bravo, mi amigo Deepak. When are you going to be back to San Cristobal?
I hope soon. We meet soon.
Okay. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Very
President.
thankful. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure it's going to make a big impact on the audience.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
Gracias.